The shuttle's engines hummed as it descended through Velrin's crimson atmosphere, carrying xenolinguist Elias Thorne toward what he believed would be the academic opportunity of a lifetime. Below him, the alien moon's surface sparkled with crystalline formations that caught the light of its parent star, creating a landscape that seemed almost ethereal in its beauty. "First time on Velrin?" asked the pilot, a grizzled veteran named Commander Blake who had been ferrying researchers to Karashi territory for over a decade. "First time off Earth, actually," Elias admitted, adjusting his translation device nervously. At 28, he was young for such a prestigious assignment, but his work decoding ancient Karashi texts had earned him this rare invitation to observe the fertility convergence, a ceremony that occurred only once every century. The shuttle touched down at the temple port, where dozens of Karashi had gathered. Elias had seen images of the species before, but nothing had prepared him for seeing them in person. They were tall and graceful, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the alien sunlight, and hair in shades ranging from deep purple to brilliant red. "Dr. Thorne," a melodious voice called out as he disembarked. He turned to see a figure approaching, and his breath caught in his throat. The woman before him was clearly of high rank, wearing flowing robes embedded with crystals that pulsed with soft light. Her pale blue skin was flawless, and her hair was a cascade of red curls that seemed to move with a life of their own. She was beautiful in a way that transcended species, with violet eyes that held depths of ancient wisdom. "I am High Priestess Lyra Shah," she said, her voice carrying an accent that made even his name sound musical. "Welcome to Velrin. We have been expecting you." Elias managed to find his voice. "The honor is mine, High Priestess. I'm grateful for this opportunity to observe your sacred ceremony." She smiled, and something in her expression made him feel as though she was looking directly into his soul. "Observe," she repeated softly. "Yes, that is what you believe you are here to do." Before he could ask what she meant, she gestured toward the massive temple structure that dominated the landscape. "Come. The convergence begins at sunset, and there is much to prepare." As they walked together toward the ancient building, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that this assignment was going to be far more complicated than he had anticipated. The temple's interior took Elias's breath away. Crystalline formations jutted from every surface, their faceted edges catching and amplifying the light from floating orbs that drifted through the air like luminous jellyfish. The architecture defied human understanding, walls curved impossibly, creating spaces that seemed larger inside than outside. "The crystals are alive," Lyra Shah explained, noticing his wonder. "They have witnessed 10,000 years of our ceremonies. Tonight, they will sing." Thousands of Karashi had gathered in the vast central chamber, their blue skin creating a sea of ethereal beauty. Elias was escorted to a designated observation platform, elevated enough to provide a clear view but separate from the main congregation. His translation device hummed quietly as it processed the ancient dialects being spoken around him. "Remember," Lyra Shah said before departing, "you are here to witness the sacred union of spirit and flesh. The convergence calls to the very essence of life itself." As the ceremony began, Elias found himself mesmerized. The Karashi moved in perfect synchronization, their voices rising in harmonious chants that seemed to resonate from the crystals themselves. The floating orbs began to pulse in rhythm with their singing, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with energy. Lyra Shah stood at the center of it all, her red curls flowing as if moved by invisible currents. She raised her arms, and the crystals responded, their light intensifying until the entire chamber was bathed in a soft, otherworldly glow. Her voice rose above the others, speaking words in an ancient tongue that predated recorded Karashi history. The ritual reached a crescendo as massive crystal formations began to resonate, their deep harmonic notes vibrating through Elias's bones. He was frantically taking notes, trying to capture every nuance of this unprecedented cultural display, when suddenly the chanting stopped. The silence was deafening. Every Karashi in the chamber had gone perfectly still, their violet eyes turned toward the center where Lyra Shah stood. She remained motionless for a long moment, her head tilted as if listening to something only she could hear. Then, slowly, she turned. Her violet gaze swept across the assembled crowd before settling on the observation platform. On him. Elias felt his heart skip as she raised her hand, one slender finger pointing directly at him. When she spoke, her voice carried clearly through the crystalline acoustics of the chamber, reaching every corner of the vast space. "The human shall step forward," she announced, her words echoing off the living walls. "He has been chosen by the spirits. He will join with the high blood and renew our line." Elias felt the blood drain from his face as thousands of violet eyes turned toward him. The silence stretched endlessly, broken only by the soft humming of the crystals that seemed to pulse with anticipation. His translation device beeped frantically as it processed the murmurs that began to ripple through the crowd. "There must be some mistake," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. But even as he spoke, he knew the words were futile. The intensity of Larasha's gaze told him this was no accident. 2 Karashi guards materialized beside him, their expressions respectful but firm. "Please, honored one," the taller of the two said in accented English. "The High Priestess calls." Elias's legs felt unsteady as he was escorted down from the platform. The crowd parted before him like water, creating a clear path to the center of the chamber where Lyra Shah waited. Each step felt surreal, as if he was walking through a dream, or perhaps a nightmare. "High Priestess," he said when he reached her, his voice cracking slightly. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm just here to observe. I'm not. I can't be part of your ceremony. Humans and Karashi aren't even biologically compatible." Larasha's expression softened, and she stepped closer, close enough that he could see the intricate patterns of silver that traced along her pale blue skin like delicate tattoos. "Oh, Elias Thorne," she said, using his full name for the first time. "You understand so little of what you truly are." She reached out, her hand hovering just above his chest. "The spirits do not lie. They have whispered your name to me in dreams for months before your arrival. You were not invited here by chance, you were called." "But that's impossible," Elias protested, even as he felt something stirring within him, a warmth that seemed to respond to her proximity. "The research clearly shows." "Your research is based on our common population," Lyra Shah interrupted gently. "But you are not common, are you? Tell me, Elias, have you ever wondered why languages come so easily to you? Why you can decode our ancient texts when scholars twice your age cannot?" The question struck him like a physical blow. It was true, he had always possessed an almost supernatural ability with languages, able to understand patterns and meanings that eluded others. He had attributed it to natural talent, but now. "The blood of the ancient ones flows in you," Lyra Shah continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "Diluted by generations, but still present. Still calling to us across the void." She placed her hand fully on his chest, and the contact sent electricity through his entire body. Around them, the crystals began to sing, a sound like wind chimes made of starlight. Lyra Shah led him through passages that seemed to exist outside of normal space, their walls lined with crystals that pulsed with increasingly intimate rhythms. The sacred inner chamber they entered was smaller than the main temple, but infinitely more beautiful. Crystalline formations created a natural alcove filled with soft, bioluminescent plants that cast everything in warm, golden light. "Are you afraid?" she asked, turning to face him as the chamber's entrance sealed behind them with a whisper of stone. Terrified, Elias admitted, his honesty surprising even himself. "But also, drawn to this. To you. I don't understand what's happening to me." Her smile was radiant. "The awakening. Your dormant heritage responding to the call of the convergence." She moved closer, her fingers trailing along his arm. "The ritual we must perform will bond us in ways your human science cannot measure. Body, mind, and soul, all will become one." As she spoke, her robes began to dissolve, revealing skin that seemed to glow with its own inner light. The silver patterns he had noticed earlier were actually part of her, intricate designs that pulsed with her heartbeat. She was beautiful beyond description, alien yet familiar, as if she had stepped out of dreams he didn't remember having. Lyra Shah, he whispered, reaching out to touch her face. Her skin was warm, softer than silk, and when their eyes met, he felt something shift in the very fabric of reality. "Let me show you," she said, guiding him toward the crystalline alcove. "Let me show you what it means to truly connect." Their first kiss was electric, literally, sparks of energy danced between them as their lips met. But it was more than physical contact. Elias felt her mind touching his, sharing memories, emotions, entire lifetimes of experience flowing between them in heartbeats. The bonding ritual was unlike anything he had ever imagined. As they joined together, the crystals around them sang in harmony, their resonance amplifying every sensation, every emotion. He could feel her thoughts, her desires, her ancient wisdom flowing into him while his own memories, his very essence, merged with hers. Time lost all meaning in that sacred space. They moved together in perfect synchronization, their bodies and souls becoming one unified being. The silver patterns on her skin began to appear on his, glowing brighter with each passing moment. He could feel his DNA rewriting itself, changing, adapting to accommodate this impossible union. "Now you understand," Lyra Shah whispered against his ear as they reached the crescendo of their joining. "We are no longer separate. We are the bridge between worlds." The chamber filled with light as their union reached completion, and Elias felt himself transformed in ways he couldn't yet comprehend. When they emerged from the sacred chamber, hand in hand, the assembled Karashi fell to their knees in reverence. Elias barely recognized himself. The silver patterns that had marked Larasha's skin now traced elegant designs across his own body, glowing softly with each heartbeat. His eyes, once brown, now held flecks of violet that seemed to shift and dance in the crystal light. "The prophecy is fulfilled," Lyra Shah announced to the gathered crowd, her voice carrying new harmonics that resonated through the temple. "The bridge between worlds has been built. Human and Karashi are one." Elias could feel the truth of her words in every cell of his body. The psychic link they had forged was not just emotional, it was fundamental, changing the very nature of both species. Through their connection, he could sense the collective consciousness of the Karashi people, their hopes, fears, and dreams flowing through him like a river of starlight. "What happens now?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The knowledge was there in his mind, placed there by the bonding ritual. "Now we begin the work," Lyra Shah replied, her fingers intertwining with his. "Your people and mine have much to learn from each other. The barriers that have kept us apart for millennia are dissolving." As if summoned by her words, Commander Blake appeared at the temple entrance, his weathered face creased with concern. "Dr. Thorne. The shuttle's ready for departure, but..." He trailed off, staring at Elias's transformation with wide eyes. "I won't be returning on the shuttle," Elias said, surprised by how natural the decision felt. "My work here is just beginning." Through their bond, he could feel Larasha's joy at his words, a warmth that spread through his chest like sunshine. They were connected now in ways that transcended physical presence. He could be anywhere in the universe and still feel her with him. "The convergence has given us a gift," she said, addressing both Elias and the confused pilot. "Your governments will want to study what has happened here. Let them. Science will confirm what the spirits have already shown us, that love truly can bridge any divide." As the first rays of Velrin's sunrise painted the crystal formations in shades of gold and crimson, Elias felt his old life falling away like an outgrown skin. He was no longer just human, no longer just Karashi, but something new, a living symbol of what two species could become when they chose connection over fear. The future stretched before them, uncertain but bright with possibility. And with Larasha's hand in his, her love flowing through their eternal bond, Elias stepped forward into a new dawn for both their peoples.